When you look at Zach Wilson as a quarterback, as a guy that you want to compare to all the mishap quarterbacks that were drafted over the years by the New York Jets, he could be the worst quarterback the Jets have ever drafted. As a matter of fact, statistically, he is the worst quarterback that has ever played for the New York Jets. We're talking about backups, guys. He has been absolutely putrid to this organization. And it's not about the weapons, guys. Garrett Wilson right now should have 5 touchdowns and probably close to 500 yards. And I don't want to hear about how good Gonzalez played and defended him last week, week 3 against the New England Patriots, because he was open at least 11 or 12 times. He should have had 100 yards. He should have had a touchdown in the game. When you look at the running backs, and everybody expected them to run the ball, including Bill Belichick. What did Bill Belichick do going into the game? What does he do usually? He stops every team's strength. And what has been the Jets' strength since the beginning of the season after losing Aaron Rodgers? What is their strength? Breece Hall. 12 carries, 18 yards, 1.5 in average. They bring in Dalvin Cook, one of the better running backs in the league, a top 6 running back last season with the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm sure Minnesota really wishes they still have Dalvin Cook on that roster. He had 8 carries for 18 yards and 2.2 in average. That's not getting it done. Zach Wilson has been absolutely putrid. 18 for 36, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And everybody sits there, well, he didn't throw an interception, so he wasn't that bad. He didn't want to throw down the field. He'd rather be sacked. And what is this? Every single time when he gets into trouble, when the defensive line gets behind the line of scrimmage, what does he do? Instead of running forward, he runs backwards. 20 yards, and then he throws the ball away. Or he gets sacked, the safety at the end of the game against the New England Patriots. How does this make sense? And everybody wants to blame the coaches. So why don't we get into Robert Saleh? Robert Saleh, as a head coach for the New York Jets, has 12 wins, 25 losses. That's not getting it done. If you remember, Todd Bowles had a better record than Robert Saleh as a head coach for the New York Jets. And we sit back and we're trying to figure out, what could the Jets do to get this kid playing at the top of his game? For one drive, he looked like a competent quarterback. Why? Because the Patriots let them run the ball. It was absolutely embarrassing to watch the New York Jets let this kid actually believe that he is some competent of a quarterback. And you want to know something? I'm so tired of listening to Robert Saleh at the end of the game, listen to Garrett Wilson, as we saw on the sidelines, that he was cursing at Zach Wilson. He is not happy with Zach Wilson. Breece Hall is not happy with Zach Wilson, as he did last week after the Cowboys game, 4 carries. And then he takes the tweet off because he doesn't want to throw the kid under the bus when everybody in the world saw him do that. Numbers don't explain how putrid Zach Wilson is. And the organization, after the last week and a half and story coming out that Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, and Carson Wentz's agent reached out to the New York Jets organization and Joe Douglas, stating that they would be interested in joining the organization and joining the team for the rest of the season after the loss of Aaron Rodgers. And Joe Douglas declined to even speak to them. And then on Tuesday, they signed Trevor Siemian, a guy that is a 3rd, maybe even 4th string quarterback. Honestly, they should have signed Mike White in the offseason. It's an absolute catastrophe. It is an absolute embarrassment as an organization. And this has a lot to do with Joe Douglas. I don't even think it has anything to do with the executives. I mean, as far as the coaching is concerned, it has everything to do with the executives on the top. How could Joe Douglas goes into a season knowing that he has a 39-year-old quarterback? You bring in Boyle, who hasn't played as a starting quarterback in 3 years. He hasn't started in a game for 3 years. And believe that Zach Wilson is a competent enough quarterback if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt after seeing what he saw last year.